Hi, everybody, and welcome to the San Luis Obispo International Film Festival. My name is Denise, and I'm here. We've just screened a film today called Exit Package. I hope you've enjoyed it. I certainly did. I'm sure you noticed a few twists and turns in it. So we're about to interview the filmmaker right now. And before we do that, I want to do a shout out to our sponsors. Our major sponsors this year are BHE Renewables, American General Media, and KSBY TV. And the sponsor of today's film, Exit Package, is Gary and Muriel Harkins. So thank you to all of our sponsors. We couldn't do this without you. We're very, very grateful. This film is in competition for an award that we'll be awarding at the end of the festival. So please, after you've watched the film or any of the films, make sure that you click on the star that best represents your feelings about the movie, because it's really important to the filmmakers that you rate the films. So we're about to jump right in, and we're going to meet John. He's already on screen with me. John Gray, hello. How are you?
Hi, thanks for having me.
Glad to have you here. Where are you, John?
I'm in Nyack, New York. It's about little village about 25 miles outside the city.
Lovely. Well, let's jump in and talk about your film. And I bet my opening question might be similar to most other people's opening questions if they were sitting in my seat right now as the interviewer. The differences between making the other films you've made in your life, live, actors in a studio or on a set, versus doing an entire film on Zoom from concept through execution. What was that like?
It was great. It was very challenging. The film, it seems pretty simple and straightforward, but actually there were just a lot of moving parts to it because we had to be careful about not having two actors in the same room together who didn't live together.
Mhm.
There's a scene where the detective has to go to this guy's house, and
Yes.
so we had to be very careful about how to get one actor out of his house and then get the other actor in and keep everybody safe. And there was a lot of logistical things about when someone's going to be moving to another room, and so it was really kind of at times a bit of a puzzle, but it's just so much fun. And I try to make a short film every year if I can, and I usually tend to make them in May. Um, because that's when my collaborators usually are free because this TV series are on hiatus and
Right.
people have more free time. But this last May, there was no option. You couldn't do it. It was just everything was shut down, and this pandemic was raging.
Mhm.
And so I got really frustrated. And at the same time, of course, because of the pandemic, I'm doing nothing but having Zoom meetings. My whole life is about I'm pitching by Zoom. I'm talking to my agent by Zoom. All these Zoom meetings. And during one particularly boring one, I remember thinking to myself, what would happen, like right now, if someone's doorbell rang and they get up to answer the phone and they never came back? I mean, they're up to answer the door, of course, and they never came back. And I started just playing with that idea and just thinking, wouldn't that be fun? And what if there was actually a gunshot and the person didn't come back? What would you do? And so it just sort of grew out of that. And I was lucky enough to get a really good cast together who were equally bored, doing nothing at home. So they were thrilled to have a movie to act in, even though
I bet. Yeah.
nobody with cameras.
Yeah, that was actually going to be my next question too, because you obviously got some major pros to agree to do this piece. And I was imagining to myself before I was interviewing you, I was thinking, I bet they were glad to get the call, were they?
I think so. I think everyone was really, because May of last year was really bad. It was bad in LA. It was bad here in New York. I mean, and everywhere, of course. But um, it got better after that, and then it got bad again. But people were still, really hunkered down and don't want to go anywhere. And so, a lot of people, their shows had shut down, their movies had shut down. They were in. So, yeah, I think everyone was kind of excited to just, be able to work and rehearse and, do something fun.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It felt like it to me. It felt like there were almost several layers to the film as I was watching it. In that of course, I was very involved in the story, and I couldn't wait to see what was happening. And I started to suspect something might not quite be what I thought. How we start to have those inklings if we're being well led in a good film. And I was watching it by myself, and I was thinking to myself, I bet a lot of people, just because of the circumstance, are going to be watching the film by themselves. So by myself as a watcher, I was starting to think, wait a minute. Now, if there was somebody in the room with me right now, I would start to look at them like, do you think something's going on? But I was just watching it unfold alone in my house by myself thinking, this is really getting kind of spooky because everyone is going down one by one, kind of like a 10 Little Indians thing from Agatha Christie. And it was kind of scary, actually.
Good. I love to hear
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
It's
sure.
actually very kind of liberating to make it because, there was no crew, there was no lighting. It was basically all done through the lens of that little Zoom app, and so I didn't have to worry about it. And because the whole conceit of the thing is that it is an actual Zoom call. Um, we didn't care. Just it looks kind of crappy, but that's where Zoom calls look. So we were fine with that. And one of our actors had a very bad internet connection, and we were having a lot of problems with freezing and things like that. And it got bad enough that I actually held one of the other actors back when we were done and just gave him like 5 or 6 lines to say, making fun of that person's internet connection.
Oh, perfect.
And I think we used 2 of them, in the end. But it was just great fun. And I'm going to do another one next week, actually. That I'm going to direct it via Zoom, but we're actually going to shoot it with iPhones, again remotely. But
Wow.
this will not look like a Zoom. This can't look like a Zoom call. So the actors are very game, and it's just 2 actors, and they're going to shoot it with their iPhones. I'm going to direct it via Zoom. So we'll see how that we'll see how that comes out.
This will be fun. And so, what is the difference, in your opinion, between directing remotely and directing in person? Do you have to pump up the volume, so to speak, on some of your skills and tone down the volume on other aspects of your skills as a director?
Well, it's difficult for me because I love actors and I love working with actors, and I'm used to, if I have a note for an actor, between takes, I'll just kind of sidle up and just talk very quietly, and we'll discuss it. And you know, um, here, in a Zoom call, I can't take the time to connect with everybody individually on Zoom during the actual shoot.
Yes.
So I have to spew my notes, in front of everybody there on the screen. Uh, and so it's not as intimate, or I think, I just like to be more respectful in the way I give notes, to an actor.
I hear you.
And it's just always fun to be in the room and there's always that kind of cross talk where there's a little bit of a lag. So I'm saying something and you get excited and you have an idea to say to me, but I'm still talking. And so that, sort of takes a little bit of time as well. So, believe me, it'll never replace being in an actual set, in an actual room with actors, but it comes pretty close when you have no other choice.
Yes, yeah. When there aren't other choices, I agree that that probably is true for so many of us in our careers, where we're saying Zoom isn't ideal, but we'll take it.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
versus not doing anything. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Well, John, thank you so much for being with us today. Great film, so enjoyable, really fun. What a fun ending to it. So a great surprise ending. And one more time before we say goodbye, we want to thank our sponsors, BHE Renewables, American General Media, and KSBY TV here in San Luis Obispo, and also our specific sponsors to today's film, Gary and Muriel Harkins. Thanks to all of our sponsors. Thanks to you, John Gray, for being with us. Thanks for submitting your excellent film. And we hope to see you again at another film festival. Take good care.
Again, for having me, and thanks everyone who's watching for supporting short films and for supporting film festivals.
Absolutely. Take good care. Bye
Thanks.
bye, everybody.